Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to MOG Economics YouTube channel. My name is Godwin, as usual. I haven't changed it yet. Alright. So today we'll talk about an important topic in consumer equilibrium, which is the price consumption curve. The price consumption curve. So I'm going to write, so the acronym is PCC. So in case in subsequent times you begin to write PCC, alright, the price consumption curve. Now, what is the price consumption curve? It is basically a curve that connects consumer equilibrium across varying prices. Alright, varying prices of a commodity while other factors are held constant. Alright, so the definition is on the board. This is the curve that connects the equilibrium quantities of two commodities at varying price levels. So what I need to include here is that at varying price levels while holding other factors constant, that is ceteris paribus. Alright, we'll be dealing with a lot of, quite a number of graphs today, and this topic actually cuts across utility, indifference curve, budget line, demand curve. Alright, so those four things in a single topic. And after this particular topic, this will lead us into the angle curve. That will be the next class after this one. Alright, so once again, the price consumption curve is a curve that connects the equilibrium quantities of two commodities at varying price levels while holding other factors constant. Factors like income of the consumer, the taste of the consumer, and so on and so forth. Now, a price change either makes the consumer better or worse off. It depends on the direction of change. So, if there is an increase in price while other things are held constant, of course, we expect that the consumer is likely going to be worse off. And then if there is a reduction in price of the commodity, while other factors are held constant, we expect that the consumer should be better off. Now, I want us to recall something, but because we are going to be making use of it in this particular class and in the subsequent one. Now, recall that P1x1 plus P2x2 equals to M. Alright, so there P1 is the price of good x1, x1 is a commodity, P2 is the price of good x2, then M happens to be the real income. So it might not be income in some cases, it might just be the budget. Okay, so a consumer could have a certain income, then out of that income decides to allocate some of it to two things, alright, to the purchasing of two things, considering their relative prices. So I want us to recall that because this, you must have come across this in your Economics 101, so we are going to be applying it. So just a simple logic, not that we are going to calculate anything. Now, the price consumption curve has different slopes. Like I said, it is a curve that connects different. It's a curve that connects the equivalent quantities of two commodities. All right, on a particular graph with varying price level, that is like constant. So there are four different ways that the price consumption curve can slope. All right, so one could be downward sloping, two it could be upward sloping, three it could be backward bending, and four it could be horizontal. Alright, so now let us draw a typical. Let's start with case 1. The case 1 is where let me just call this like let me just put case 1 here. Case 1 is where our price consumption curve is downward sloping. So what can make it downward sloping? So we have the x here and we have the y over here. Then we are talking about consumer equilibrium because we are looking at the equilibrium quantities. Alright, so and that brings us into what? Talking about indifference curve. Indifference curve and budget line. So here we have let's say it's down sloping over there. We have commodity. So this represents commodity x1, and then this is commodity y1. Alright, so now let's assume a reduction in the price of commodity x1. A reduction in the price of commodity x1. Obviously, you probably know by now, you should know by now that is going to result into a pivoting outwards of the budget line along the horizontal axis. Alright, because the good is cheaper than we expect that the consumer after this building will be able to purchase more of commodity X. So we expect that this will become something like this. So I could call this, let me just call like the budget line P1. So here is B1, here is P2. Alright, so I'm coming. Now, when there is, I want to show that it's downward sloping. So when there is a reduction, I think that is a reduction. When there is a reduction in commodity, in the price of commodity X1, of course we expect something like this. We expect this to happen. That is a constant. And commodity X1 happens to have an elastic demand. Now, when we are talking about, I told you that this topic cuts across different things. Now, when we are looking at elastic demand, what does it mean? It simply means that a little change in the price of the commodity will lead to a greater change in the quantity demanded. Alright, so in this case, since there is a reduction in price, right, that reduction in price is going to lead to a greater increase in the quantity demanded of commodity X1. Okay, so now that simply means that the rate at which price has fallen is smaller than the rate at which commodity X is being demanded. And looking at the budget function, looking at this budget function, so if we have an increase in the price, so let me make this y, since we are using the y. So let me make this px x1, okay, and py. There is only for x1 again. Pxx plus pyy. Alright. So when there is a group has an elastic demand, now a reduction in the price leads to a greater change in the quantity demand, like I mentioned earlier. So what that simply means is that given this budget function, right? Given this budget function, the consumer is buying more of X than the way the price of X has changed. Now, the consumer buying more of X simply means, and given the same budget, the budget is not changing, the other things being constant. Given the same budget, the consumer buying more of X simply means that he is taking some of the money that he was using to buy Y before in buying X now, because the good is elastic. That's an elastic demand. So when the good has elastic demand, more of this, there is a greater change in demand. All right, there's a greater change in quantity demanded. All right, there's a greater change in quantity demanded of this product if the price should change. So in this case, the price has fallen, so we have a greater change in the quantity demanded of good X. Okay, which is a greater increase. All right, so that means the expenditure on this out of the total expenditure will increase. That's meaning the expenditure of commodity X out of the total expenditure of those goods will increase. So that means you are taking money from here to purchase more of this because X has an elastic demand. Now, there's an additional assumption that the two goods are normal goods, right? Okay, so let's just take note of that somewhere. So now that simply means you are buying more of X and you'll be buying less of Y. So that's the meaning. So if you are buying more of X, so where we are now, this is a rotation, right? We are buying more of X. Should I have started from here? No, let me start from here. We will be buying more of X and less of Y. So let me just start from here. Alright. Let me just call this X1. So now that we're buying more of X, we are here now. We can just draw the indifference curve there because it represents equilibrium quantities. So we come here, so we are buying less of this, and then we are buying, okay. So we have, this is Y2, and then this is X2. You can see the gap, alright, because the reduction in the price of this commodity has led to what? A greater increase in quantity demand. It's not price that is here, please take note of that. Now, we are also going to note that the price changes again, that the price further reduces. So, if the price is reducing again, we are going to move from this is going to pivot again towards this point. Alright. Like I said, we'll be doing a lot of graph work today. Alright, so this is the second equilibrium. Now we are still going to be buying less of Y. Okay, let me just bring it here. We buy less of Y and more of commodity X because of the nature of the elasticity of commodity X. Alright, so here we'll be having this. The difference curve is over there. Now, what is the price consumption line? The price consumption line is simply the curve that combines all of these points, all of this equilibrium, where the difference curve is tangential to the budget line. So the curve that combines all of them. Alright. So this is the price consumption curve. This is the price consumption curve. Alright. So the curve that comes from this area, I wish I had chalk of multiple colors. I come from this area up to this point to cut all of those consumer equilibrium positions of these goods is the price consumption curve. So this is where this is where commodity X has an elastic demand. Now from here we can obviously draw the curve. We can draw the demand curve of this commodity X. I'm not drawing that of commodity Y. Alright, so the demand curve is going to be something like this. Now we started from a higher price and then the price begins to fall, right? So this already tells us that we have a downward sloping price consumption curve. So I just want to draw the demand curve in addition to that. So we have commodity X, then we have the price here. Since we started from a higher point, so we have P1, alright, which was the initial price that this the whole thing here started from P1, then we add X1, then the price fell to P2, and then we had a greater change in demand. You can see the gap, X2, then the price fell to P3, and then we still add something like this, X3. So joining all these points together will give you what? The demand curve. Alright, so when you have a downward sloping price consumption curve of a particular commodity whose price has reduced, you'll be having a downward sloping demand, which is the normal demand curve that we know. So that's case 1. Then case 2. So please note the elasticities. Case 2 is where we have an upward sloping price consumption curve. So what can we also have an upward sloping price consumption curve? That is when the commodity whose price has changed has an inelastic demand. It is inelastic. Right, so that simply means that a change in the price of the commodity is going to lead to a less proportionate change in the quantity demanded of that commodity. So if the price were to change by 10%, we have the quantity demanded changed by 5% in the opposite direction. Okay, so now going back to let me just quickly sketch this out for case 2. Okay, I hope this graph is not too small. So we have 0. Then we have X, and then this is with Y. Okay, so let's start from somewhere like this. So this is B. Okay, let's start from BB. Alright, so now, like I said, when the good has an if let's now assume that there is a reduction in the price of commodity X. There is a reduction in the price of commodity X. So reduction in the price of commodity X is going to lead to an increase in the quantity demanded of commodity X, right? But here, commodity X is an inelastic good. So when the price kind of fell hypothetically by let's say 10% at a time, or let's say 20%, the quantity demanded is rising by just 5%. So that simply means that we are not spending. This consumer is not actually spending. This consumer is how do I put it? Of the total budget, of course, the consumer. The expenditure on commodity X now is no longer up to what it was before. Alright, so that's the meaning. The expenditure on commodity X is no longer up to what it was before. So that means the consumer has spare money to spend on commodity Y. So provided that he has to exhaust his budget, he has to exhaust what he has allocated to the two goods. So now his total expenditure on commodity X has fallen because this good has an inelastic demand. So a reduction in the price of it has led to a less proportionate increase in the quantity demanded. The total expenditure on this commodity has reduced compared to what it was before. The consumer now has spare money to spend on this. So what is that going to lead? What is that going to cause? That will obviously lead to an increase in the demand of an increase in the quantity demanded of commodity X and an increase in the demand of commodity Y. Alright, so the consumer is now buying more of X, more of Y. So that is what is going to happen. I hope you understand this. If you don't understand, leave your questions in the comment section. Now, the thing is that the price here from your elasticity of demand, obviously you should have been able to realize that for inelastic, when a good has an inelastic demand, a reduction in its price will lead to a reduction in, no, it will lead to an increase in quantity demanded first, but then the total expenditure on that commodity will fall. Okay, so that is why it is advisable for firms who produce products that have inelastic demand to raise their prices instead of lowering their prices. Because when you lower the price, the total expenditure of consumers on that product is going to fall. But then you as the expenditure of the consumer is the revenue of the producer. So you as a producer, you want to maximize revenue, you want a lot of revenue. Alright. So it is not something economical for you to lower the price of your product when you have an inelastic demand. So that is what is exactly happening here. There is an increase in the according to the value of commodity X, but it is not as great as the fall in the price of commodity X. So there's spare money that the consumer now spends on this, and the consumer is able to buy more of this and more of this. Alright, so that's what happens. So we have there's going to be this is going to pivot outwards. So like I said, we'll be using, don't mind my code. Like I said, we'll be using cases where the price fell twice. Alright, so that we can get the message across better. Okay, commodity X. So the initial point was let's say here, where we had X1 and Y1. Now that there is a reduction in price of this, the result is that we now consume more of the two goods, right? So we have more of X1 and more of Y. So we come up here. This is a point that shows more of X1 to X2, and then we move this here. Okay, this is looking like okay, we don't have price on this axis anyway, so we have Y2. Now when there's a further reduction, then this consumer is also able to do what? To buy more of the product. So we have something like this. Okay, so we have X3, Y3. So the initial equilibrium was here. So we have an indifference curve here. Then this is the second equilibrium. We have an indifference curve here. This is the third equilibrium. We have an indifference curve here. Alright, so the line that hits all of those points where we have equilibrium is the what? Is the price consumption. So we have PCC, price consumption curve, being upward sloping in this particular regard. So you can see that it's pretty simple to draw. Now let us now look at let's draw the demand curve of commodity X as the price was changing. So we have X, and then we have 0, and then we have price. Okay, the price started from the high point, P1, so we're able to get X1. The price fell, and let's say to P2, and there was only a mere increase like this to X2, and the price further fell to P3, almost close to 0, and then the increase was just small. So you have X3. So by the time you plot out this point, you have a demand curve that is inelastic. So that's to depict the inelastic demand curve. So that's just it's as simple as that. Now, how do you know it's backward bending price consumption curve? In what situation can the price consumption curve be backward bending? So we draw again our third this case 2, right? So we have case 3. So in what case is could our price consumption curve be backward bending? So we are starting from this point, right? So we have B. Did I name the other subject lines here? Okay, so this is B. Okay, B1, then B2. Alright, and then we put arrow here to show that it's rotating outwards. Okay, or pivoting outwards. Then we put this there. Okay. So in what case is the price consumption line backward bending? It is actually in the case where you have a commodity that the consumer is buying less of as the price is falling. Alright, a commodity where the consumer is buying less of as the price is falling, or it's a case where the consumer is buying more of as the price is rising. So two things might come to your mind: luxury goods, okay, where basically these goods are for, is it sure they are for class, social class, okay, where they are able to use this particular community, then people know that okay, fine, we've arrived, and so on and so forth. So now, in that case, it is easy to see that an increase in the price of the commodity leads people to buy more of those commodities. Alright, so because the commodities are a symbol of status, they are status symbols, they are statement goods. Alright, they are using them to make statements. Alright, but then there is this other category of goods that have the same nature, but then this one happens to poor people. But I must tell you that I think it is we kind of have it in economics, but it's not really important yet. And this is what we talk about different goods, because it's kind of a way to find different goods. Now, what are jiffing goods? Jiffing goods are goods that consumers, actually poor people now, okay, poor people buy more of them as their prices rise, all right, or buy less of them as their prices fall. So that is what you have. That's an example of a jiffing good. Now, in this case, you have the demand curve being abnormal. Alright, so the demand curve, instead of being down slope, is going to be upwards. The same thing for luxury. But then there is a social phenomenon. The difference there is in terms of class, is in terms of circumstances. While luxury goods are upward sloping due to the products being of status symbol, alright, you have jiffing goods having demand curves that are also upward sloping because the consumers of that particular product are actually really poor, so they buy more of that commodity. It's kind of, the logic is weird, all right, that they buy more of the commodity as the price rises. So if I was to give an example, it's kind of somehow, let's say we have a household that consumes rice and meat, and then rice happens to be a staple food. It happens to be the food that is generally eaten, right? You may not have anything else, but at least you must have rice in your home. Now, given the poor level of income, or the poor income that some kind of households have, an increase in the price of rice, do you understand? An increase in the price of rice would mean, given the same income, would mean that the household has to buy more of rice now, and then buy more of rice simply means they have less available for meat. Now, because rice is a necessary good, because rice is a necessary good, the increase in expenditure on rice has kind of reduced what can be spent on meat. Instead of rice and meat, it has reduced it. But then households still kind of value the rice more than the meat. So now they would rather go spend the rest of the money on stocking up rice than eating meat at all. Alright, so rice in this particular case, when its price has increased, is a jiffing good. Is an example of a jiffing good. I hope you get that kind of explanation. So, like I said, the logic is somehow, but sometimes I think it may happen to us when there's something you could buy before, but now that the price of something else has gone up, and that is more important to you. Okay, it's a necessary good. You don't have no substitute that you'll be looking for to see their own price are falling or maybe remain the same to like move to. So you tend to consume more of this good. Tend to spend the rest of your income on just buying this and knowing that okay, you won't be able to get this again. Alright, so I hope you get that example. So that's what is going to happen in this third case. So in this third case, we have a jiffing good. A jiffing good where a lower price means that there's going to be a low demand for this product, and a higher price simply means that there's going to be an increase in the demand for this product. But because the example that we are using is that of a fall in price, alright, so we just continue with that. So we have a fall in price of good X now. So in this example, good X is a jiffing good. So we start from a particular point. Let's say this point. I hope it's not too low. Let me kind of have also that I have here. So I hope it's not too low. Okay. So we start from this point. Okay, so we have y1, y1, x1. Okay, so now that there is a reduction in price, ordinarily we are supposed to have this. Ordinarily, we are supposed to have an outward rotation of this curve from B to B1. So this was the initial equilibrium, where the reverse curve is tangential to the point line. But now we'll be having less of. Okay, let me look at it. Let me check it very well. Okay, so we have these points. So now we're having something like less of this commodity here. Okay, so this is x2, and then this is y2. Alright, so we have these points, and then if you have a third scenario where there is something like this. This is what we are supposed to ordinarily have. Okay, so but now we are having, like I said, this happens to be the second difference curve. So here, I think this might be getting too shaded. Okay, let's just kind of manage it. So we're having this now. We're having these points. Okay, a further fall. So we have x3 here. and then this point is where we have our Y3, the third commodity. So with this point being where the new indifference curve is. Okay, so this is the second indifference curve. This is the first indifference curve, the second indifference curve. Now looking at the points where the indifference curve is tangential to, I think I'm going to plane this. It's getting to seek. We have this, then we have these points. Okay, so here we had our indifference curve here, and then in this scenario we have the new indifference curve here. Alright, so the line, the price consumption line, is that going to be something like this, then cut this place like this. Alright, so that's how the price consumption line is going to be. So in this case, it is backward bending. So that's the PCC, it's backward bending. So I'm going to sketch the demand curve for these products. So we have X, which is the different good here. Then we have its price, the price of X. Alright, so we started from the higher price, P1, this was demanded, X1. But now that this has, okay, no, let's do it this way, P1, X1, right? It fell to P2, and less of it was demanded, X2. Then it fell to P3, and then less of it was demanded, X3. So we then have this abnormal demand. It is not essentially a straight line, alright? It's not essentially a straight. If you read more, where the consumer, it depends on how much the consumer spends on this product now, okay, from the changes in its price. Alright, so if the consumer spends exact amount of a product, let's say if price is reduced by 25%, and then the consumer increases his expenditure on that commodity by 25%, price falls by 25%, the consumer increases his expenditure on that commodity by exactly did I say 5%? Okay, let's say, let me come back. Now, if price of the commodity falls by 25%, and the consumer increases his expenditure on that commodity by 25%, so we're expecting, if it continues like that, so we're expecting a straight line. But if the expenditure begins to vary differently from the rates at which the price is changing, we won't be having a straight line. Right, so you can read more on that. Now, case 4. Case 4 is basically where we have an horizontal price consumption line. So in what case are we going to be having an horizontal price consumption line? It is simply in a case where a commodity has a unitary elastic demand. So which simply means that if the price of a commodity should fall, which we are going to do here, if the price of a commodity should fall by 25%, the consumer increases his expenditure on that commodity by 25%, which means that if the price of X can fall by 25%, the consumer increases his expenditure on this commodity by 25%. So that means the consumer is not changing his consumption of Y. Alright, so all the surplus, all the additional income that is able to get from the reduction in the price of this commodity is spent on this commodity bag. Okay, and vice versa, that is the other way around. If the price of this commodity were to rise by 25%, consumer reduces the consumption of this by 25%. Alright, okay, so that's it. So if the consumer does not change, does not alter the way it consumes Y, so Y remains constant. Now, the price of this commodity, you start from a point like this, where this is a B. So the price of this commodity, so we have X1 and then we have Y1. So the price of commodity X1 reduces, right? So we expect that there's going to be the pivoting outwards. We can call that B2. Alright, so now the consumer is buying, is spending all of that reduction okay, we have here, okay, X1, we have the difference curve between tangential here. Now the consumer moves to this point where he now buys more of X, but he still maintains his consumption of Y. so which is this. And then if it happens again that the price of commodity X falls, alright, so what happens? The consumer maintains its consumption of good X. So we have a new budget line, which is B3, okay, BB3, BB2, BB1. So the consumer increases consumption to X3, but does not change the consumption of this product. So this line, so this straight line is the price consumption line. Okay, price consumption line. So if we were to plot the demand curve, so from here, an implicit lesson from this particular class is that you can sketch your demand curve from the intersection of your indifference curve and your budget line. Right. So we are doing that already in each case, in each scenario. So if you are told to sketch out a demand curve from a consumer equilibrium graph, you should be able to do that. So that is what we've been doing from the beginning, from this particular point. So coming here, we have commodity X. I already said that commodity Y is a normal commodity X. So when the price was, let's say here, P1, consumer demanded X1. Now that the price fell to P2, notice when you sketch a unitary elastic graph, the gap on the horizontal axis must be equal. So the gap on the horizontal axis must be equal to the gap on this is the horizontal axis. The gap on the horizontal axis must be equal to the gap on the vertical axis. Alright, so when you are sketching a unitary elastic curve, because there are times that you tell students to draw these curves and they just draw something down, something. You tell them, okay, students, and your exam, draw the different elasticity of demand, and I people just start drawing anything. What the teacher is trying to take note of in your submissions is simply the spaces that you left on the horizontal axis and the vertical on the horizontal axis and the vertical axis. So I'm actually done with the diagram. So we have with the graph rather. So we have when the price falls to P3. Alright, okay. So look at the gap between this point and this point. So I've kind of tried to estimate it to be the same as the gap between this point and this point. So we sketch it out. When the price fell to P3, let's say it fell by 50%, or let's say it fell by 15%, you have an increase in quantity demanded of 15% as well. So with that, we're able to sketch out using all of this, using the 3 points to sketch out the demand curve. So this is a unitary elastic demand curve for this commodity. And so that's the end of this particular class. I believe you enjoyed it. In the next class, we'll be talking about Engel curve. Okay, and that is actually for income consumption, and there are really interesting things to learn from Engel curve as well. Okay, but before we go, there's an assignment for you, and the assignment that you have, okay, is for you to use. Let me kind of read it out. Okay, or let me just try to write it somewhere. Here we go with the assignment. Using the VCC, the price consumption curve, depicts with graphs and succinct explanations the effect of an increase in the price of good X on the demand curve of good Y. Using the price consumption curve, depicts with graphs and succinct explanations the effect of an increase in the price of good X on the demand curve of good Y. So I'm going to do all of these things, but here in the assignment, let me just give you a hint to make the thing easier. In the assignment, what you are trying to represent here, using the consumer equilibrium of two goods, is for you to indicate the effects of an increase in the price of good X on curves like this, okay? And then you are now going to draw the demand curve of good Y. So here I was able to sketch out the demand curve of good X, while you sketching out the demand curve of good Y. Alright. So from your answer from your price consumption line, you tell us what is happening to the demand curve of good Y. So it's a pretty simple assignment. I don't think I really want to bother you much. So I could have, if I wanted to bother you seriously, I could have asked you to do that in the 4 cases. Alright, in the 4 cases, case 1, case 2, case 3, case 4. But some students can go on to do that. That's pretty cool. But the main assignment is for you to do what I've written on the board. If you do extra, that's pretty cool. Alright, so that's all about that. Like I said, I'm meeting the next class. We'll be talking about Engel curve. The notes are ready. The class will be available as soon as possible.